Welcome to the Kara's Cure Show, where we explore the cutting edge of wellness. I'm Kara Sundlin. There's a lot of talk about plant-based diets. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Jonny Bowden, who is here to bust some nutrition myths. I know it gets confusing for everyone. Dr. Jonny, thanks for being with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Kara. I wish I could be there in person.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that you have some props. Do you think most people are hearing, I need to be on a plant-based diet, and getting it all wrong?
Yes.
Simply yes.
Yes, I do.
What are we getting wrong?
Well, first of all, let me make clear, I'm not against plants. I love plants. I think we should all eat more plants. But plant-based has become a code word, and it's very often used as a synonym for veganism. They're not the same thing. The paleo diet, you may be surprised to know, because everybody thinks it's all protein, was about 35% animal products and 65% plants. So the paleo diet was a plant-based diet. I figure if you're eating 65% of your calories from plants, that's kind of a plant-based diet, but that's not what people think of. They think their food should have no animal products in it whatsoever. Now, I want to be clear, since we have the time to talk about this. I never argue with vegans who are vegans for spiritual reasons. I love animals. We have animals. I care about animal welfare. But unfortunately, our biochemistry does better with some animal products in it. And I know we're going to talk about a lot of the nutrients that you can't get from plant foods. So my objection to the wholesale use of plant-based is that people think that because food has no animal products in it, it's healthier. And that, Kara, is absolutely a myth.
Yeah, so we see plant-based, we see it all over social media, being plant-based and being vegan. Like you said, not a problem with being vegan, but often, if you're not having any animal protein, you are going to be deficient in some key vitamins and minerals. Is that true?
That is 100% true. Even the Vegan Society in London, which is kind of the ultimate in vegan orthodoxy, has a list of like 11 things you got to supplement with. So I don't know if it's that long, but there's certainly 3 or 4 we could talk about. The other thing I want you to know is this is plant-based. This is cereal. It's not good for you. It's sugar and starch with no nutrients. It has no animal products in it, but that doesn't make it healthy. We did this, Kara, in the 80s with low fat. We all thought fat was bad for you. We were wrong, but we thought it was. So there was an influx of all of the Snackwell cookies, all of these low fat, sugar and chemical infused, snack foods. And people thought they were doing themselves a favor by eating them because it didn't have fat. We're kind of doing the same thing with animal products.
Yeah. I do remember those days when I thought, maybe 30 years ago, when I was getting headaches and thought it was a good thing in high school to eat a bagel and cream cheese and a Diet Coke. That was considered like a lean, healthy lunch. And it was, of course, fat-free.
You are 100% right. I'm with you. I was one of those people. I taught that stuff. I started my career as a trainer at the Equinox Fitness Clubs. I don't know if you have them. Yeah. I'm sure you have them in Connecticut now. I was there for the very first one that ever opened in 1991. And we taught low-fat diets. We believed in low-fat diets. I was one of those guys that would order an egg white omelet, the dumbest idea in history, and if it came with even a little bit of the yellow, I'd send it back because I just knew I was going to get a heart attack if I touched that cholesterol. It was all wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see us make the same mistake here. I understand the love of animals, cruelty-free. I'm all for that. But there are some foods that we might want to consider reintroducing, even in a plant-based diet, because we will get nutrients from them that we simply cannot get from plants.
Well, also in my audience, I know a lot of folks are moms, and they're, say they're running around, they're worried about energy, or even maybe they're a little older and they're heading, past 40 into those perimenopause, menopause years. The most current research, especially for women, is that we need to really preserve muscle, and to do that and to feel good, we probably need some animal products.
I'm so happy to hear you say that, because I've been writing about this just recently and talking about it on 100 different podcasts. I interviewed Esther Blum, who is one of the experts on menopause in this country. She wrote a wonderful book. You should have her on. It's called See You Later, Ovulator, about what happens during menopause and after. And she said, and I quote, the key to getting through menopause health in a healthy way and beyond is a steak and a pair of barbells. Muscle is the organ of longevity. It is so important to our well-being, to our cognitive processes and our ability to think sharply, to clearing sugar from our body. 80% of the sugar in your bloodstream is cleared by the muscle. So this idea that muscles are just for the beach and they're just, to look good is really ancient wisdom. It's just not true.
Yeah.
We need to preserve our muscles. It's very, very important. And yes, the key to that is high quality protein. And it's not quite the same. You can do it if you're really, really conscientious and you have a certain kind of metabolism. You may be able to do it. There are vegan bodybuilders, but they're really outliers. You really do need some of the things that are in animal protein. I can give you a million examples, but you get the idea.
Let's talk about, people are saying, okay, fine, I'll just go get something like a Beyond Burger or a plant-based meat, sausage that's really made out of plants. You say these are fake meats that many times are just junk food?
I don't even think they're going to be around in a couple of years. Both of those companies are doing terribly, and I understand why. They're made in factories, Kara. My whole nutritional message for the last 30 years has been eat real food. If you just need one piece of information to hang your hat on that summarizes everything we know about nutrition, it's real food. This is real food. Kale chips are not real food. They're not necessarily bad, but they're not real food.
Well, if you make them in your own oven.
Huh?
If you make them in your own oven, they are.
Yeah, well, sure, of course. And I'm not saying you can never eat that, but I'm saying that the bulk of your diet should be from real food.
Okay.
Real food, good supplements, things like that.
Okay, so let's talk about the myth of the plant-based diet. For those people who are saying, okay, I'm going to limit all of my animal products and just do plants because I want to be healthy. Why is that the wrong approach?
Those are the people I can argue with. I never argue with people about their religion or their belief system. I try to encourage them to consider adding as a kind of medical food some things like, for example, ghee, which is a clarified butter that they use in Ayurvedic medicine. It's very used throughout India. That comes from cows because it's clarified butter. And some vegetarians or vegans will consider using some of these foods medicinally. I'm going to talk about some that we could use from fish, for example, as opposed to plant-based omega-3s. That's a great area to talk about. Some nutrients like B12 do not exist in the plant kingdom. Now, I have read propaganda that says, oh, no, there's plenty of it. No, there isn't. There is not. There is not a single B12. There are analogs. These are things that look like B12 and but they don't perform like B12. You have to, if you are 100% vegan, you must, folks, supplement with B12. And we can talk about some of the other things that would be recommended to supplement with as well.
Well, and one thing is just ending the myth, I guess, if it's not for, let's take the vegans who are doing this for religious reasons or, definitely don't want to change their minds on that.
Right.
There's just the idea out there on social media and everywhere else that we should be plant-based because that's healthier. And so people are going to the grocery store like they did with fat-free and saying, I'm going to buy plant-based, I'm going to buy plant-based, I'm going to buy plant-based. And that's where you're saying this idea that plant-based is going to make you healthier isn't correct.
Kara, all you got to do is go to your local Whole Foods, and I'm not calling anybody out, and look at the ingredients on the vegan pizza. See if you can even pronounce any of them. This is made in factory. It's chemical stuff. It's not good for you. And just because it doesn't have cheese in it, for God's sake, I mean, it's not that is not the definition of healthier. Nutrient dense, real food. There's a lot of definitions of healthy, but one of them isn't as long as it doesn't have animal products.
So we've talked about supplementing with B12. I work with a couple great functional doctors who've been on this show a lot, and I'll just shout their names out for Connecticut viewers. Actually, they see people all over the world, but Dr. Artemis Morris of the Artemis Wellness Center, Dr. Jennifer Stagg from the Whole Health Wellness. And for different stories, I've done enough blood work to know that both of them said I needed to add B12, even though I do eat chicken almost every day, or some grass-fed beef. Like I add it in, and I'm still not there for energy-wise, at least at this stressful time in my life where I'm burning myself at both ends. So even if you're eating, you might need to supplement, right? But talk about what would be some symptoms that you're just deficient and you're not doing the right thing?
I think probably the biggest one is lack of energy. It's next to back pain. That's the number one thing people bring to their doctor's office or their health practitioner's office. I just don't have any energy anymore. I just can't get my energy. I have no motivation. I'm dragging at 4 in the afternoon. All of those energy related things are the things I hear the most. And usually they can be traced to a nutrient poor diet, because without every one of those nutrients, they're like a symphony orchestra. You cannot take one of them off and still have the wonderful sound that you're looking for. They all contribute. Even a trace mineral that you just need a little bit of, you need them all for the whole thing to work together.
What about when people
very
say,
often,
I was gonna say, what about when people say I take a multivitamin?
Well, there's multivitamins and there's multivitamins. You know, there are the one-a-day things at the big box store. That's minimum wage nutrition. It's the lowest possible dosage. It'll probably prevent diseases like beriberi and rickets. I want to tell you that I have never seen beriberi, rickets, scurvy, any of the nutritional deficiency diseases. It is true you can prevent nutritional diseases like that, which are just they just don't exist in modern first world countries. But you can prevent them with 60 milligrams of vitamin C. That is not optimal. That is minimum wage nutrition. It's not even close to what your body really would like to have to function at its maximum. So I'm not a big fan of the cheap one-a-days. I do believe in multivitamins because they fill in a lot of the gaps that you might be missing. I mean, most people aren't taking manganese or molybdenum or many of these trace minerals. So I believe that they should be there in your supplement program, but you shouldn't depend on those to get optimal amounts of the nutrients that you really need. And you mentioned something very interesting. You said you noticed that your B12 levels weren't what they should be.
Well, the doctor told me they shouldn't be. And now I'm supplementing, even though I take a multi and all these things, and I do eat salads and all that. So I do take the B12, and I think I do. I have fixed a lot of my energy issues with diet and supplements, I think, and sleep, of course.
But what I was going to get at is your doctor must have looked at a blood test.
Correct.
Okay. I think that people would be very surprised if they tested their own levels of certain nutrients like omega-3s.
Yeah.
I'll give you an anecdote that I never have time to tell. So I'm very close friends with Dr. Bill Sears. Dr. Bill Sears is America's pediatrician. He's been on the cover of Time. He invented attachment parenting. He and his wife have written 28 books. They've delivered like 40,000 kids. Okay. So I was having dinner with him once. And we had vegan friends who were thinking of having a baby. And I said to him, Bill, what do you do when a vegan mother or mother-to-be comes in? And we all know how important omega-3s are for the health of the fetus and the baby and the brain and just everything else. What do you do? He says, well, I tell them to keep doing what they're doing. I said, but he said, well, with one little caveat. I show them on a chart what the level of omega-3 in their blood needs to be in order for them to have a healthy baby. It has to be here. And I show them, and we test it. And guess what? In 20, whatever number of years he's been practicing, he said, I've seen 2 or 3 people be able to get it to that level with me. And you don't have to say a word. You just show it to them. And they go, oh my God, what should I do? And he says, supplement with fish oil or supplement with something. and they do it like that. They changed it because they are not going to take any chances with their developing baby.
Yeah.
So measuring we now have this there's a million of them. I don't know if you can see this. This is a blood test you can get at Amazon, Walmart, anywhere. They're not terribly expensive. They work with a little little prick that you do in the thumb, very easy, and you can measure your omega-3 levels. I recommend that everybody do that.
Which test do you like?
What's that?
Which test are you showing? Also for the people who are listening.
The one I'm showing is by Nutrition, Nutrition Omega-3 Index Kit. You just look, it could be generic. It's an omega-3 index. And they are now saying, I read a very good peer-reviewed article recently that said that the omega-3 index is almost as good a risk, or almost as important a risk factor as whether or not you smoke.
Wow.
So if you have a very low omega-3 index, meaning there's very little omega-3 in your blood, not good.
Right. And let's explain that. Let's really break it down. In all my interviews, I know every cell in the body needs omega-3s, and often our ratios are way off because of all the processed foods we have. You might not give up all your fast food or your cookies or this, and our ratios are way off. So an easy way to fix that, you're saying, is a high quality fish oil. How much and what should people take?
Well, I love this. You may have remembered from calcium chews, Bioactive. It was a brand that they made those chocolate calcium chews because nobody liked the calcium horse pill, so they kind of solved the problem. They came out with a product called Omega Boost, which is specifically made from fish, but there's sardines and anchovies, which are very low on the food scale. They're basically cruelty-free because they don't even have a nervous system. Anchovies don't feel pain, and it's high-quality EPA and DHA, which are the fatty acids that are found in fish. Now, what you have to understand about vegan or vegetarian omega-3s, there are wonderful vegetarian omega-3 products. Flaxseed oil, I love it. It's great, but you need way more of it than you think you do. You can't just go by what the capsules say, take one capsule a day, because that has to convert to this. The ALA in vegetarian omega-3s, it's called alpha-linolenic acid, has to convert to EPA and DHA to really get the usefulness of it. And it's a kind of long process. The fatty acids have to be elongated, they have to be desaturated. With Omega Boost, you already have the EPA and DHA, and you have a meaningful dosage, and their research shows that if you take this for a month, and it's just 2 of these little gel bites. I wish you were here so I could show you.
Well, hold them up. Let me see that. Just hold that up. And what brand is it again for our listeners that you like? It's
called Bioactive's Omega Boost.
Okay.
2 of these little gel bites. They're not gummies. What Bioactive did was they applied the latest technology in what they're called gel bites, which are quite different than gummies. It's a different technology, and it allows them to get a meaningful dosage of the 2 fatty acids found in fish, EPA and DHA, and all you need is 2 of these little babies. They have no sugar, they have no gluten, they have no fishy aftertaste. You can get your kids to eat them, 2 of them, they go like that, and then you have an actual dosage that you can measure in your blood with one of these tests that measures your omega-3 index. So I'm a big fan of those, and I urge my plant-based clients to try them.
Okay. So yeah, I'm looking at them. I had to look it up while you were talking. So they're only like $30 or so on Amazon, so you can find them there. The important thing is don't just go and buy any old fish oil, because then you could be making it worse.
I put this up here to show. So fish oil, here's the thing about fish oil that people need to know. Fish oil is the container. So if you're not old enough to remember the old Westerns, but in the old Westerns, they used to have these prospectors who would go to the California gold rush, and they'd prospect for gold, and they'd have these like tin pans that looked like bedpans, and they'd shake them and stuff. Well, most of what was in there was sand, but then there would be the gold nuggets. They'd be prospecting for the gold nuggets. Well, fish oil is like the container, the sand, and EPA and DHA are the gold nuggets. That's why we take fish oil. So I don't care if you get 2,000 milligrams of fish oil, how much EPA and DHA, and every good one will tell you on the back. So you might have, it's 1,000 milligrams, but there's only 100 milligrams of EPA and DHA. No, you need more of the EPA and DHA. That's why you take fish oil for the gold nuggets, and this is all gold nuggets.
Okay, so you like that one. Yeah, definitely be
like that one a
careful
lot.
because also, a lot of functional doctors will worry about just the junk, could be a lot of mercury, a lot of bad fish. Like, you just don't want to do that. So we don't want to create more problems.
Exactly, and think about the mercury. You make a great point. Those are the ones. That's found in the predator fish, the high up on the food chain, because they eat all that other stuff, and then it accumulates. Anchovies and sardines don't have any mercury. They're not on any mercury warning list. Other ones are, but certainly not the little tiny anchovies and sardines. But that's great omega-3s. EPA and DHA, they're right there. No mercury.
Especially if you don't like anchovies and sardines to actually eat, which I'm one of those people. So.
Nobody likes anchovies and sardines, but this doesn't taste like that. They just extracted the.
Yeah,
the
I guess some people like them on a real Caesar salad. I'm not one of them. But anyway, you actually wrote the book. You've got a book on 150 healthiest foods out there, I think.
I did.
And I see that there, and 150 healthiest foods on earth. If we could distill this, I love to give our people easy things to do. I know so many of them are busy moms. What are the top 5 things you wish people were doing or eating every day to really change the trajectory of our health?
To really change the trajectory of our health, it's more than just eating. But I will tell you what I would like to see people do in terms of eating. But I will add to that even if you're eating a wonderful diet, if you're not sleeping well, and there is robust research on this. I mean, I wrote another book called The Most Effective Ways to Live Longer, and there's an entire section on sleep research. And if you're not sleeping well, your neurotransmitters aren't working, your hormones aren't being released, your biochemicals aren't being replaced. All of these important things that happen during sleep, when you kind of clean out all the gunk and you wake up in the morning and you sleep. The reason that we have the expression "let's sleep on it" is that's real, because what happens is a lot of cobwebs get cleaned out biochemically during the sleep process, and you often wake up refreshed with a new perspective on things. That's a real thing. And if you're not sleeping well, if you're waking up every 10 minutes, if the lights are on, if the temperature is wrong, you are not going to be a healthy person. Yeah. And it's going to manifest itself in many, many different ways, one of which is you're not going to have any energy, which is, as we started talking about, one of the biggest complaints that we see.
Yeah, so sleep is your drug of choice. And then as far as eating, though, eating real food. So what are the top 5 things you want us to do?
What are the what?
I was going to say, if we could, you have 150 of the healthiest foods, but maybe give us, could we have more accessible, like 5 things we should do every day?
But you have to understand that. Yes, I'm going to give you some lists. I'm not trying to dodge the question, but understand that foods are like friends.
Yep.
You might have a great friend to play basketball with, but it might not be the same friend you want to talk about your marriage with. You might have a friend who's just terrific for going fishing with, but maybe not so great for playing chess with. So friends like foods provide different things. Even the best, like wild-caught salmon, loaded with omega-3, still doesn't have any fiber. The best protein source in the world, steak, still maybe doesn't have much magnesium. So there is no one perfect food that has every single thing you want. That said, I'm a big fan of eggs. I'm a big fan of wild-caught salmon. I am a very opposed to anything that's no fat or low fat. Those are manufactured foods. The Paleolithic man did not, or Paleolithic people did not eat low-fat caribou or low-fat, meat. They ate the real thing with everything that came with it. That's how nature put it together, and that's how it was intended for us to get. Many nutrients can't be absorbed without that, so I don't like low-fat anything. I don't like fake food. I like this stuff, plus some grass-fed steaks and some wild salmon and things like that. Berries are always a to-go. I put lots of berries and nuts here because they are a staple in a healthy diet. You cannot go wrong with berries of any color: strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, all of them. They're just loaded with good stuff for you, antioxidants and anti-inflammatories. Same thing with nuts. So that kind of food is what I always recommend, plus sleep, plus getting out and getting some sun, plus exercising every day. Even a walk after dinner changes your life. And the fifth thing I would suggest or emphasize is relationships. There are no healthy people who live in total isolation. In fact, loneliness is now considered as much a risk factor for an early death as smoking.
Yes.
So you gotta look at this as the whole picture, folks. You gotta eat real food, be with real people, get out in the real sun, do those kinds of things, sleep, and that's the key to a healthy life.
So in our final 3 minutes together, I like to give people, okay, this is our action items. And basically what I'm understanding from you, number one, we need some omega-3s. Don't fall victim to eating all the plant-based stuff or marketing of just plant-based. But as far as action items people can take, you want them to get some high quality animal protein, make sure they're taking some omega-3s, and look for real food.
Real food. Even if you just start with berries and nuts, put those in your diet every day. That's an easy thing to do. You can put them in the refrigerator. The kids can take them. They will protest at first if they're not getting the junk food snacks. But here's what I've seen time and time again. If that's all that's in the house, after they bitch about it for a couple of days, they will eat them and they will forget all about it.
My kids actually love berries, but yes, they still, we haven't gotten completely all the junk food out, but we try. But now let me ask you really quick, because I know some people are going to go, oh my gosh, but berries are so expensive if you buy them organic, and they're one of the most pesticide foods. You know, do you worry about that?
I do worry about that, but they're not all like that. For example, strawberries, I would only buy organic. They're very, very sprayed. Here's a nice little thing that your audience can do. There is a nonprofit group called the Environmental Working Group, EWG, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Every year they publish on their website what they call the Dirty Dozen. These are the most sprayed crops in America, the ones that have the heaviest load of pesticides and fungicides and herbicides. Buy those organic. Save your organic dollars for the ones that are where it really counts. I don't buy organic pineapple or organic avocado. It's got a skin this thick. I'm not that worried about it. But something like coffee or strawberries that are just sprayed randomly forever and ever, yeah, that's where you put your organic dollars.
That's where you put your organic.
Or you don't buy those. You buy what's on what they also have a list called the Clean 15. Buy that stuff and you don't have to worry about organic.
Yeah, the berries are, I do try to buy the organic berries because of those lists. But
wash them. They're wonderful fruit washes that are available. They're not expensive. You can even make them. There's a million recipes to make them. You just spend the time to wash them and rinse them, and
absolutely.
That shouldn't stop people from buying good food.
Absolutely. We're out of time, but I want people to know you've written some 15 best-selling books. All on nutrition, easy to understand. Follow you at Jonny Bowden. There's no H in that. Or go visit your website, JonnyBowden.com. Doctor, thanks so much for being with us and sharing some wellness tips.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thank you. All right, have a great day. Be well.